Hello there, folks. So this is the first episode of Quick Dive. We're gonna talk about various games quickly, just some quick thoughts, quick overview, give a conclusion, etc. But today's episode is very special. The first episode and already special. Today's episode is all about the board game weekend that we had, and here I have a special guest with me, my dear friend Andres.
Hello.
And with Andres, we're gonna go through the various games we have played over the weekend. It's like a marathon that we started doing instead of the board game camp that we have in Estonia. I talked about the board game camp many years ago. It's amazing. People gather together, play games. We did the same, but in a like home environment, which has its benefits. I think so. What do you think, Andres?
Well, it has benefits and also drawbacks. It depends on the amount of games you bring, the amount of the game you play, because usually you play your own. You don't have a choice of the unlimited, let's put it that way, the unlimited selection. But there is a problem. But of course, it lacks the problem of like really nice food you can get on takeaways. You can order them home. You can get. You don't have any gaps in playing between while searching the group. You have a friend just here, and your games are pre-selected. That's the thing we do because it just makes the flow much faster.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so we played a total of I think 11 games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was 11.
and we had some longer games, some not so long games. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna then conclude our thoughts with our biggest surprise, either positive or negative, uh, whoever chose what. And then we have the worst game and the best game of that kind of a board game camp or board game weekend that we had. And without further ado, let's get to the BGG as we always do that. And let's get to the first game. I'm going to give you a brief overview of each game. So, the first game we're going to talk about is The Hunger. So, The Hunger is all about you being vampires. You are going out of the castle, hunting for people, trying to get the most blood, whatever, which are points at the end of the game. You go out into the forest and getting to the Rose Labyrinth. What you want to do is you want to do the deck building part over there with a little bit of push your luck, and as you get the humans, as you feed on humans, they get into your deck and then they clog your deck, eventually slowing you down. You need to get back into the castle before the sunrise, otherwise you'll be burned. So the whole premise is a race and push your luck and deck building. So, oh, I'm sorry, this is the overview. But let's get to the good. Andres, tell me, what's good about the game?
I know. I would say it's just maybe fast because and it's very easy to explain. You go out. It's just one path. If you, I would compare it to Clank. If you played Clank, you have a million choices. Here it's just one way. You go there. You go back in. Uh, Probably that's and it's very easy to learn. It has some secret goals, but that's not a
Yeah,
big deal.
yeah. I think the great part about comparing to Clank, what I like about this one, it has different paths. So Clank has them as well, but you kind of know where you're going. They're kind of those treasures. You're gonna go the same way. And with this
No.
one, these paths are like the kind of a, I don't know, roll and move kind of a paths. As you think about that, they're straight paths, but they still go into the boat, into the rail, etc. I like the card mechanism. I like how you pull out the three cards. Some of them are permanent that you can leave for the next turn, but otherwise you have to push your luck. You have to get humans for the points, and then expect them not to come up. But some of your cards work with the humans in your play area. So I like this kind of aspect of trying to get as many points as possible, but not overload yourself with those clogs.
But that's basically what every deck builder is about. You put a lot
Yeah,
of cards in your deck, and here I think it's good that you can actually get something out of those in those interactions with the human cards with
yeah,
point cards. Usually they just clock. Here you have a very small chance that they will trigger some
Yeah.
event, something movement or something else.
Yeah, because
Also, yeah, I'm turning back a bit. I would know the premise is nice and it's very thematic in a way
yeah.
because you're running until while the sun is out. You're running back to the castle, and you hunt humans for points. That's a really interesting premise. I don't think I've played anything like that.
Yeah, and I like how humans clog your deck in a sense, like with other traditional deck builders, they clog your deck and they don't give you much. But these ones, they are concentrated on speed, so in your movement, so they clog your movement in a sense. But anyway, let's get to the bad. So the bad about the hunger for me is, first of all, I feel that there's not enough in the box. It's easy to learn,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great, but then I want more. I want something more difficult, or some more variabilities. Maybe some special abilities with the vampires, because all the vampires are the same. They start with the same decks, maybe some more asymmetry, and of course, more content. This game just needs more content.
Well, maybe you're just expecting some more common deck building mechanism or something, because here it actually lacks that. It lacks the ability to manipulate your deck a lot. For example, to
Yeah.
burn a card, to remove a card from your deck, it's not this ability doesn't come from a deck. It comes from the board, and there are just 5 places on the board like that.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the board, I would say it's just clogged with art. So
Yes.
if you look at it, you just don't understand. Is it the work? Is it like a movement spot? Is it a just some art? Is it something else? It looks nice. Don't get me wrong. Like visually, it's fine, but there should be a better distinguishing between your movement points and locations.
Yeah, I totally agree. The graphical design is not perfected. The art gets in the way of just playing the
Functionality.
game. Functionality, yes. But all right, let's get to another game. So next game we're going to talk about is Planet Defenders. So Planet Defenders is rather abstract game. It's from Emperor's S4, where you are using the robots and you're using the cards to move them around to place yourself in spots where you can get some extra resources and then eventually spend them for the robot cards, which are set collection. So you are puzzling out where to place the robots, and while the other players do that as well, you're trying to get the best benefit of that. There's not much else to say about the game. So let's get to the good. So, what you think, Andres?
Uh, it's hard to say because it actually I think we played this what at 2 a.m. or something, so it kind of
I don't remember.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, so it was kind of not a pass by game, but it's good in a way. If you play it with 2 players, it turns into a small chess of optimizing your moves, because for
yeah,
example there is a movement card which has move 2. It means you have to move 2 spaces, not one. You cannot limit that. And usually if you do that, you flip the action tile, and your opponent will get a different action than you did.
yeah,
That's a very nice touch, because you can think where your opponent will go, what he will do, and it's quite easy, I guess. The iconographics is nice, the art is nice, and I'll talk about the bad parts after you do your
yeah.
good ones.
So for me, yeah, I totally agree. I like this part where, as you are using the movement of the robots, their cards flip and they become another robot or another movement or something like that. So you have to kind of emphasize. Sometimes you think about the bonus before you, and you're like, please use that robot so it will flip, so you can use that other side. So it's a cool part. The other cool part, I like the art as well, and the puzzle here. I mean, the rules don't get in the way of the puzzle. You can just think about the puzzle. I like how clean the game is. There's not much, but what you get is a clean, beautiful package. So
Yeah,
let's get
it's not overcrowded with anything which is not used in any way.
yeah. So let's get to the bad. So what do you think about the bad?
Well, first of all, it's not a 4-player game, We played it with four, and it just doesn't work because the amount of actions you do, you do just two actions or three. I don't even remember. They depend on the action cards, and because they flip, like Ilya we said, they will probably flip at least 3 or 4 times before they get to you, which is makes
Yeah.
planning quite impossible. It also a very bad thing is, which I don't like in general, is because it's a modular board. In usually it's fine, but in this case, it can happen that, for example, getting resources is on the one side of the map and spending resources is on the other one,
Yeah.
which is not usually something. Think of a totally random placement of cards in Istanbul,
Mm-hmm.
which is there is a suggested setup usually where you can see like you get resources in one corner, spend them in another one. Here it's just random. There is no
Yeah.
suggested balanced setup for the tiles, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a very sad part.
I don't know if I cared about this one that much myself, but for me the bad, yes. Playing at 4 players, it just I don't care about what most of my opponents do. I might care about what you do if you do the turn before me. Just the play before me, I care about that player. Everybody else, I don't care about what you do and what you collect. I just do my own solitaire multiplayer, uh, which is not the best for this kind of a interaction full game because you are all moving the same robots. The other bad thing I have about this one is that everything is, as I said, simple is good and simple is bad. Everything is too simple. It's like a cube pusher kind of a thing. You just get the cubes and you just give them out to get this robot, and nothing really happens. Everything is the same. Every turn is kind of the same. So yeah, that's my bad.
I know another game we played which
Not
it
my bad.
said is the same, but we'll get to that one. But
All right. Yeah.
but here it's not. I think there is no runaway leader problem here. It's impossible to happen, I think, because um, it's so easy to get resources and spend them. It's just a
Hmm.
matter of who does it like first. So, for example, you get a robot for 5 points, I get for four.
Are you
You get
talking
for.
about the good stuff?
I'm not sure if it's either of those. It's somewhere in
Hmm.
between because there
Sometimes you
is no
need the runaway leader. Yeah. Hmm.
there is no pressure.
All
There's
right.
no
Yeah.
pressure here in
No
this game.
pressure. Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. All right. Let's get to the next game. So the quick dive into Steampunk Rally, but we're going to talk about the Fusion version. So Steampunk Rally basically is a game about race and building up your machine. So you're building up your machine by drafting the different cards and you're touching them via the different connections. And those cards they give you opportunities to put the dice on them. You're also drafting the cards for the resources like dice and cogs, etc. And you're putting the dice in them, dividing the numbers, and activating the different parts like defense or racing forward or some boosts or whatever else. And you're trying to build the machine to withstand the different mountains and different other obstacles that you have during the race. And whoever gets to the furthest place in this like of a after the finish line will win the game. So there's no race until somebody crosses the finish line. It's the race till somebody is the furthest, which I like. But we're gonna talk about it in a moment. So the good, Andres.
Uh, again, me again. I don't know. It's good question actually. It's fun to build your it's fun to build your machine. It's fun to rearrange the dice. And sorry, not the dice, the machinery. It's amazing how your machine looks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think that's it. It's not a bad game. It's just not my taste.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for me, I don't like race games usually. This one just fits my taste in a sense of race games because it has a lot of this Euro-y stuff. Building up the machine is like engine building. I like all of that. We have the fusion version here, which also has those fusion dice. I like those as well, and they are great boost, but it's impossible to get rid of them, basically. And they clog your spaces on your machine. And the building part is amazing. I love that, how you build up your machine. It can become a little bit samey until and in the end. So if we talk about, let's get to the bad stuff now. Let's transition into the bad stuff. So in the end, you feel like you have this particular order of actions you can do. So in the end, it becomes kind of anticlimactic for me, kind of a. And also, this game is not great the first time you play it or the second time you play it.
Yeah.
So this is the game that you need to play constantly in order to be very familiar with the game and for it to flow. Otherwise, if you're always teaching new people, this game just takes too long. You have to be extremely familiar with the game, and everybody needs to be as well around the table to enjoy it the best. So I'm on this kind of on the verge of not wanting this game into my collection and wanting this game because I really like everything, but I don't know, just too slow for me probably.
Well, the three of us played it first time, and Ilya knew the rules. The other three people didn't, and so it took ages. It was indeed a very long game, and it felt like not the same. I think I don't think there is a way to come back if you get like destroyed. It pushes you back. You lose a lot of your stuff. You lose almost all of your machine. It's not something if you compare it to, for example, Galaxy Tracker, where you build your stuff. You try to
Mm,
race to the end, and in Galaxy Tracker is kind of not maybe more fun, I guess, because
mm,
it's random. Here you see the path, you see the dice. Also, because it's a dice game, you have to be prepared that when you roll something, there is no use for your dice. Like
mm-hmm.
literally, you are not able to use them anywhere.
I mean,
So,
I would disagree with more fun myself because I don't like Galaxy Trucker, and this one for me is a better design as a race game. But Galaxy Trucker is not a race game, really.
well, I
It's more
mean,
of a
it's not about also not about race. It's about building and losing your machine on the through the way.
in a smart way. So
In a
yeah.
smart, yeah, you're trying to do it in a smart way, but
So the bad for you is too long, and it's just not fun to kind of build up and lose all the time. Yeah.
pretty much, maybe because I lost badly. Maybe that's a bitter end of that. But anyway, it's also the people. I'm not a dice fan. Ilya knows that. You probably other people don't. I really don't like dice games where you roll dice in a way and hope to get the best. Of course, if you're
Mm-hmm.
playing things like Eldritch Horror, where the whole mechanic base is based on that, that's fine.
All
If
right.
it's a small element like yes or no, it's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
if it totally limits your turn because you just roll, it happened. That's it. And you're stuck in your position. That's not for me something.
All right.
So I would not play it again. Actually, it's not
Okay.
bad, but no.
But no. All right. Let's get to the next game, which is Smartphone Inc. So Smartphone Inc. is about building your smartphone company, producing different smartphones and then shipping the orders, and the customers have different preferences and technologies you can also boost, and the offices that you build out. So this is all about, building up your company and selling the most stuff and getting the most money, which basically points at the end of the game. So let's get to the good. So
You go because I pushed the game on the into the camp.
yeah,
So I'm really
so
curious. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, so the good for me is, of course, the theme. The theme is different. You are a mobile phone company, building up your mobile phones. You're spreading out. You kind of feel like you're progressing. Um, I like the mechanism of those tiles. So what you do is at the beginning of each round, you place the tiles onto each other. It's like if you played Conchu or something like that, where you place the different cards onto each other, it's like to create kind of landscapes. Here, you place the tiles onto each other to create icons that you need, and the more icons you have a particular thing, the better is the action of that thing. I like that premise, and as you can buy the extra tiles, the smaller tiles, two place tiles that you can add to those, so you can kind of customize your planchet eventually. I I really like all of that, and the production is great. So, and we'll get to the bad stuff later.
Oh yeah, it's I liked it very. I liked it very much. It's, as Ilya said, the theme is quite different from anything. It's also it's quite Euro dry in a way, and that's what I like. I like what things where you can think, where you can manage. The action selection mechanism of tile placement is amazing. Yeah, I don't have I've seen it anywhere. I think I've told the same thing many times today, but yeah, the action selection is quite unique. In you can customize, you can plan. And it's a very cutthroat game because the player who sells the cheapest phone so gets the least points per unit goes first, and they can just clog the market because the every place you sell has a limited amount of slots, and if somebody goes
Mm-hmm.
first, so you have to carefully balance your actions between getting points or going first before other players and
Yeah.
getting maybe less points. So
Mm-hmm.
we and actually there's a very small different setup for all every player. It's a 5 player game, and each player each pad is a little bit different. Starting one, like not much, but it gives a small twist. Let's put it that way.
All right. So the bad stuff. So the bad stuff for me is, as you said, it's a Euro dry, and it is. Despite having a theme and having a working theme, the theme works. It's thematic in a sense, but it's dry in its mechanism, its execution. You do the same stuff all over again. There's little luck, which I don't really like in games. I want a little bit more luck to kind of feel like you are having this tactical approach to the game. This one is too strategic. It's obvious in a sense who's winning. It's obvious in a sense who's doing better. And the other downside for this one, if somebody has played it before, they are gonna do better. Usually, you can see how they do the better decisions, and if you do the bad decision in the beginning, you can get stuck. So overall it's just not as exciting. So the first few rounds you're getting in, then the fourth round you're kind of okay, I kind of like it, and then I don't know how many rounds, but just abstractly, just the first round you're getting in, maybe the second round it's exciting, and then the third and fourth and fifth round it's not exciting anymore because you're doing just the same thing. You are kind of better, but kind of the same, because the phones you sell are all the same. Oh, you had technologies. Eventually, when you get a lot of these technologies, you don't care where you sell. As if you have enough offices, those technologies don't feel like you have something special. They feel like, oh, it's just a spot. So I don't like that.
Well, it's something which we played. Well, I played it also with some friends before that, and a friend of mine at some point during the game he said exactly like what Ilya just did. You do the same thing 5 rounds over. And when I heard that, that felt like a revelation in a way. Like, oh, you actually are doing the same thing. But because it's a strategically planned game, you're executing your perfect plan. You and of course your players can other players can ruin it because
Hmm.
they have different approaches. It's simultaneous action selection, by the way.
Yeah, but what's the bad about this one?
What's the bad? It needs an expansion. I need to get an expansion for that. I don't think. Maybe I'm biased because it's a game I own,
Hmm.
but it feels good. It doesn't take long. It's a 2 hour, maybe a
So,
2 hour game.
hmm for us, it
Uh,
took much longer. But so you don't feel like you have any bad to say about this one, which is
not
totally fine.
not really. I can't say it's awesome, but I don't feel it works perfectly because it's thematic. It's
All right.
it's a working theme, and maybe the thing is just the board is designed for 5 players, and if you don't have one, you get some like retails and stuff. But that's a minor caveat in that.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
you can do is the expansion brings for 2 players and 3 players a smaller board, which should be better. But we'll see. I
Okay.
haven't played with smaller people.
All right. So, but let's get to the next game, which is Space Base. So, the Space Base is, if you played Machikoro before, Space Base is all about this Machikoro mechanism where you have the different number cards, etc. You roll the dice, and then if you get the dice, if they get the right number, you can activate those spots or those cards, etc. And here you can also activate the cards on the other player's turns while they roll the dice. You can use kind of their dice to activate other parts of your cards, the upper parts of your cards, etc. You're building up your row and columns of cards in order to activate them the most or the best way, and eventually to get to at least the 40 points, uh, at which point the game will end, and then whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. So Machikoro expanded, Machikoro the Big. So let's get to the good. And I think I'll start with the good here is that, going into this game, I was like, I don't like Machikoro. It's like rolling dice, see what happens. So, as I said, I like luck. This is fine. But here, where's the game? Where's the fun? Where are my choices here? And in here, I kind of felt like my choices are about building those different 12 spots, so I can get the most benefit from whatever the dice come up with. I get something good. And how you build them, it felt a little bit obvious how you build them, but overall, I like the art style, and I like this kind of expansion. I like how it didn't feel Machikoro, though it felt totally Machikoro in a good sense. So the good for me.
Well, I will totally agree with the art. It's quite fun. It actually, if you look at the name of the ship, they have some Russian names, some German names, some I don't know
Arabian
I-
names, etc. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was quite fun to read those. It was a fun part. Regarding what Ilya said about building up your tableau, it's amazing because when you build, for example, the card which you have now gives you one coin, and if you build on top of it, it will give you less, but it will give you on other player's turn. So the build up mechanism is very nice.
Yeah.
The and you actually get in the beginning, of course, you don't get much from other players' turns, but as you build up, it builds more and more. You have more options. And at the beginning, there is one thing which was quite interesting. Usually, when because you roll 2 dice here, two d6, and you can split them. You can either combine them into one bigger number, so from 7 to 12, or you can split them into smaller numbers because maybe you need smaller numbers for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, that felt very nice. That felt very good. Um, But we'll
Yeah.
go probably to the bad stuff is when you realize that by doing that, it goes the odds of getting numbers like from 1 to 7 are from 1 to 6 are much bigger than the odds from getting numbers from 7 to 12 because you roll 2 dice and you can split them.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the first half of your board becomes more powerful in a way. Of course, it depends on
Hmm.
how you build it up, how you use the dice, but and you play with 4 players, of course at least one of them will roll something small, and at least each one of them will roll a number between 1 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there is no other way that will happen.
Yeah.
uh, there is a very nice card which says as soon as you finish the card, you trigger the end of the game and you can actually win,
No,
which
it
is
says you
a
win, basically. You win immediately.
okay, yeah, okay, it's a nice twist. I don't know if it's possible to do that. Maybe it is. But
It's,
as
but
soon as you start generating points on other players' turn, I think it just goes I don't know,
if
uphill or downhill, depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. So the bad. Yeah. I think to kind of continue your thought there is that if you get like if you get points at the beginning and you start getting more points and the other players didn't concentrate on that but just building their engine, having fun, etc., you're probably gonna be a runaway
Mhm.
leader and probably gonna win. Like I had this thing there where I just generated too many points at some point. Like whatever you roll, I generate points for. So I had this in mind that I have to win instead of just having fun. So sometimes I maybe I didn't have as much fun. So the bad stuff, I didn't have as much fun grabbing the cards which give me points. I wanted to grab the cards that give you abilities. Though the other bad stuff, I think the abilities on the cards, I didn't care about them that much. The activation of crystals a little bit messy on the rule side. I didn't like that as much. So all of these abilities, I felt like they are forced into the game to make it less Machikoro, kind of thing, a bigger thing, but it felt not in a right place. And the other bad thing, yeah, there's a lot. So at some point, first of all, if you're playing the 4-player game, I feel the 4 players is too much. And the other thing is, while the other players are rolling the dice, of course there's an interaction. You want to see what they roll so you can get some stuff, but it's like they roll stuff. They got 1 and 5. Oh, I get 1 coin from 1 coin from 5. Or if I combine them, it's a 6. I get 1 coin from 6. So it's obvious that I take 1 and 5. And a lot of these turns were just unexciting. So, and as much as you try to build the other players, the red sectors of the cards, it just feels unsatisfying. And it's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Oh, did you roll the dice? Did you roll the dice? I rolled the dice. What did you get? A coin, a coin, a point, a coin. It just the same thing. It's cool in the beginning where you build up, and then eventually the other half of the game is just boring. So
You
I
just wait for stuff to happen to use
yeah
it efficiently, and you're just
yeah
you're waiting 3 other players to roll, and then just start thinking what to do with all that loot you got.
yeah, and at some point you don't like the cards that are in front of you, and then you're like, okay, I don't know if I wanna buy a new card instead of that one that gives me points and things, and I don't wanna change this card anymore, but I have to build up those red cards. But if I just keep this card, I can win. So yeah,
Hmm.
let's get to the next game, which is Valley of the Kings, but the premium edition.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, Ilya, stop boasting. You're like
yeah,
premium edition, you
the
know that.
premium edition. No, but the thing is that I sold my initial copies of Valley of the Kings, and then I came back to this game, and at that point they had the premium edition, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it all. So it's updated version of those small decks. But Valley of the Kings is your traditional deck building game. We have 5 cards. You use cards for currency or use cards for actions, and you grab the cards from the pyramid. There is that crumbling pyramid effect where you can buy the cards from the base of the pyramid, and you're trying to do your usual deck building stuff and getting the cards from different collections, and then entombing those cards into your tomb in order to score them. So while you don't entomb the cards while they are in your deck or your play area or discard, whatever, they don't score any points at the end of the game. You have to entomb the cards in order for them to score. And different set collections, they score by multiplying those different cards. And you have to have unique cards of the same color, etc. So this is the whole premise of the game. So let's get to the good. And so this is a game dear and near to my heart. I played many deck building games. As for the traditional deck building games, more traditional deck building games, which this one is, yeah, if we compare it to Clank or whatever, the Hunger, they are different in a sense. This one, I like how simple it is. I like the cards and the actions, and I like the crumbling pyramid. How you can buy from the base of the pyramid, then the cards crumble, and you get to use the new cards. But you can manipulate the pyramid in any way. You can swap the cards between them. You can take the cards. There are all sorts of abilities to grab the cards from any part of the pyramid. I like that. I like the set collection. I like the decision where at some point this is a good card. I need to keep it in my deck so I can use it, but at some point I have to entomb it, because if I do it too late, I will not score any points. I might not score it eventually, because if you use the card, it gets into your discard pile. You don't even know if it comes back at certain points, where you're still able to entomb it. So I like this struggle in your mind of Valley of the Kings.
No,
Yeah,
I will totally agree because it gives you a little bit different take on deck building because, as mentioned, the cards you have to get the card out of your deck for it to score any points at all. Uh, it looks amazing. It has very different card effects. It has I think there is a player interaction module which we didn't include because we are Care
take that
Bears.
module. Yeah, yeah. You can customize however you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fully customizable, but it's a game where if you're playing first time, you don't understand how fast it goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very fast game where because the cards you get, every card you
Is it the
get,
bad?
I'm not sure. It's really bad when you're playing it first time. I played it second. First time I played it was what we checked 8 years ago.
Yeah. So it's in
So
between the good, the bad, the good, the
yeah,
bad.
you
Yeah.
can keep switching those.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the game is good. The game is good, but this you have to understand that it will be over in I don't know what 10, 15 turns maybe,
Mm-hmm.
which are quite short.
So let's get to the bad. So, don't you feel like this game sometimes might feel a bit too fast?
It
That
it,
probably
it
depends on
feels
the deck build.
it's not it feels bad. It feels fast anyway because you cannot prolong the game. The length of the game is determined by the amount of cards in the deck, and every turn, regardless if you buy a card or don't buy a card, uh, the deck gets replenished. So like it gets thinner and thinner.
Yeah.
So of
Yeah.
course you can count how many turns you get, how many
Mm.
the amount of actions you do is starts kind of different in a way because you get some powers, some effects, but it's limited. It's limited. You don't like Ilya said. Maybe the card which you bought, which went into your discard pile, maybe it will not even get back to you.
Yeah.
It's also a thing because we played with we forgot one rule. We forgot one very important rule when we were playing.
Oh, you mean the
And
entombing that you can entomb for free just once per
yes,
round? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
forgot
I
that
didn't.
part. You didn't, so you obviously won.
Yeah.
With me getting
I
the last place, but still,
I just played the
it's
game a bunch. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and we forgot that, so it changed a lot because so every turn you can thin your deck. Every turn you
Mm-hmm.
can get it smaller and smaller. Probably if you do that, it will get better. But for us, it wasn't that good. But we were planning actually, when we were discussing with the guys when we were going home that maybe if we will have time in the end of our game marathon, maybe we can do one more just in the end of the event. Just like put a big dot on the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in the
We
end.
just didn't have enough time.
Yeah,
But
but everybody liked it. It's good. It's beautiful. It's just
yeah. But
really too fast.
but what about the bad? So the bad for me, at least, I'll chime in here, is is that so yeah. If you don't realize at some point you can be late, and if you don't get the right cards to entomb your cards, and to manipulate maybe the pyramid the better way, you're kind of a stuck. So you can basically end the game badly. And the other stuff is I don't like to play it 4 players, surely, because it's as a 2-player game, it becomes more strategic in a sense because the pyramid is manipulated less. So if somebody doesn't buy from the pyramid, one card goes away. But with 4 players, the amount of cards that you cycle through, because there
Mhm.
are 4 players that are able to use the cards that give you the ability to buy more cards or give you the ability to take the cards for free. So at some point they can get 3 cards from the pyramid, and this is only the first player between. There's two more players before you, and etc. So there's a lot of manipulating, a lot of randomness. With two players, it becomes strategic. If two players, you kind of feel like you play against each other. The set collection part becomes more. Let's say your sets become bigger because you kind of get the right cards. You kind of have more control over what sets you get here because the deck is the same as with two players, as with three players, as with four players. The deck is the same. So the deck is, you kind of feel that for you, the deck is depleted much faster. With two players, if you play with me, two players, you feel the game has the good pace. So I don't like it. Like any other deck builders, it's best with two. So which is a kind of a bad thing because I would have loved for it to work better with more players.
Exactly. You get a very different amount of cards and turns in 4-player and 2-player games,
Yeah,
and
the scoring doesn't feel satisfying
yeah.
because otherwise I won by having like maybe like 20 something points. Usually I got like 60 or something points. It's as triple as much. But
Well,
anyway,
pretty much that's it because we were playing with 4-player. Divide 60 by 3 by 4, you get 15. That's exactly what you get.
all right, let's get to the next game, which is uh, Godspeed. So it's really hard to give a very quick premise about Godspeed. Godspeed is all about it's a mix of different mechanisms. You have interaction where you decide on the common stuff. You vote to common stuff. Then you have the bidding phase where you are bidding your workers as they have strength, kind of an area majority kind of a thing in a sense, or let's say bidding strength thing where you can get the special cards, and eventually whatever is left, you can use those workers to get to the worker spots to get new cards, new buildings, so you can build the buildings, you move up the tracks, all of this kind of a usual multi-layer Euro game with this kind of a spatial theme with real nations, I would say, but kind of a fictional world. And there's a lot of set collection. There's a lot of the goals you need to get to, and different workers. A little bit of that asymmetry, not between the players, but the symmetry within the workers themselves. So, yeah, let's get to the good stuff.
Well, it feels like the good part is that it somehow manages to incorporate so many different things. Like Ilya said, like you said, bidding, worker placement, common discussion of common goals.
Like semi-co-op or negotiation, just a
Yeah.
little bit. Please, we have to get this bonus. Otherwise, it's like you're wasting your worker for nothing. It's yeah.
It manages to incorporate all of that very well. The you get it what was what 12 turns, 2 actions. That's not much to do.
I think 10. It was 10 rounds, something like
Yeah,
that.
okay, 10 rounds, so
Yeah,
still
whatever.
20,
Yeah.
20 actions. It's not much. It's not some. And the okay, the theme's not there. The I think I have more bad parts to that, but the uh, mechanically it's good.
Okay. So
The flow of worker placement, the flow of discussion, it's good.
yeah.
The rule
So
book is bad.
if I chime in for the good
Yeah.
stuff is the different mechanisms, they work well together. And as I said, I like these different workers. They have different strength, and we have a little bit of symmetry between players as well because the workers that we have, the engineer and the captain, whatever, they have the different values on them between each player. Everything else is kind of the same. Building your stuff, moving up the tracks, all this good stuff. I like the worker placement spots as well. I like building my buildings. I like collecting resources and then building myself up, kind of thing. But let's get to the bad stuff about building stuff. So the buildings you build, you basically build them for the goals or set collection, whatever else. As you build them, you don't feel like you've built your own colony or anything like that. You've built a card, and then you can put the card away. You don't care about this card anymore. You got your move up the track or extra resource. It's like everything is about move up the card, extra resource, move up the track, whatever. Oh, you need to build a yellow building and a green building. There's no distinguishing kind of an aspect between those. And even like I try to think like, oh, are those yellow buildings giving moving up the economy track more? They kind of are,
Hmm.
but they're also all the other ones. Like if yellow buildings would be exclusively about moving up the yellow track, the economy track, maybe it would be more tight and interesting. But in all of the decks, you can find all of the tracks that you move up to, and we're moving up the tracks itself. It doesn't feel as exciting. I mean, like at first, yeah, you race, you want to be at the top, then you get to this 12th spot where you are the only one who can get there, and then eventually at the end of the game, yet again, I use the word anticlimactic. The end of the game is anticlimactic, where you're like, you don't care what you bid for the special cards. You need particular worker spots or just one or two of them. You don't care about the negotiation anymore. You don't care about the tracks you move up. Maybe a little bit more about them, okay? But everything else, it just feels the game ends before it ends, and the rule book is bad. Yeah, it just the overarching kind of a thing. There's no such thing in this game, I feel, and it takes a tad too long. But if you take away a few rounds, I feel like you wouldn't be able to achieve stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like it's it's a perfect length, but it's too long. I don't know how to explain it.
I totally agree because you're actually, yes, I agree. You build something, some stuff, some buildings. You're building some cards. They're totally irrelevant in a way. You just get some points, you get some resources, and there is no grand goal you're striding towards. Let's put it in no. If you play, I don't know, viticulture, you go for 25 points, I think, or 20. If you play keyflower, you're going for the final tiles, which give you points. Here, you just go with the flow. You build some cards, get some resources.
Yeah,
Uh, Next
you need to
turn,
get
get
that
this.
green card. You need to get that third green card. Whatever it is,
Yeah,
just build it.
yeah. And there is, of course, there are milestones and goals. For example, the first player
Yeah.
who builds 4 cards gets 3 points. But it
Ooh.
yeah, exactly. That's the same
And
emotion I had when I got 2 milestones. But
and
still.
the fun part about these technologies that you get at the end, the purple stuff, whatever it is, I don't remember
Hmm.
the relics and things, and the relic powers that you get, they are towards the end.
Yeah,
What the it's like the fun part. Don't leave it towards the end. It's becoming anticlimactic. Like, oh, I got this power for like 2 turns and things. Like, I don't care about this power anymore. If that would be from the turn one, you can build a relic. You can start grabbing those powers from the start. It would be so much more fun. Give
it
me more
would.
powers, etc.
Yeah, the powers were actually, the idea is great. That maybe you think of it as it's free eras, free sections of the game. Let's put them first. You build, you expand, and in the third era, you get to these alien technologies.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't work like that.
yeah. All
Uh,
right.
yeah, and I will. Yeah, and the last thing, which
What?
I don't know, which yeah, it's a game of many emotions, but one more will come. I will spoil probably. This one has nations playing for it. You have the USA, you have China, and of course,
USSR, China, India,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and India.
Australia.
Uh, it just doesn't fit. Why would you put in like real power, real countries, real nations into a game about some space exploration with some technologies? It just felt
Alternative
that
future. I don't know, but it's
it
like
doesn't feel like that.
like space race. They wanted to do this kind of a space race, but now you are in space, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next game, which is Evergreen. So Evergreen is all about growing trees. It's from the same designer who did photosynthesis, and you are building up your board with various trees. First, you get the twigs, then you get smaller trees, you grow them into bigger trees, you get the bushes, you get the lakes, etc. And you are basically building up your spatial puzzle in a sense that you are not overshadowing your smaller trees with the big trees, etc. You're trying to place them in a sense that when the sun shines from one side of the board, you get the most points out of it, and you also try to create the wholesome forest, the big forest that you get the points for, and you uh, do the drafting at the beginning of each round. You do drafting, and through the drafting, you can then eventually build everything else. So the drafting is very important in this game, the central drafting mechanism. So let's get to the good stuff. So first of all, the good stuff about this game is though it's abstract, you kind of feel some theme in it. It's beautiful. The components are probably helping me with that as well. But how the shadows work, etc. So the bushes and twigs, they don't, block the sun, and the bigger trees block the smaller trees. There's a little of that between this kind of abstract simplicity. There's a little bit of that theme, which I like just a little bit. The other thing is I really like the drafting. So the drafting, how you get the cards and who gets to be the first player, and I like the last card that is left there. The last card goes into this kind of a central pile of various cards, and they contribute to the end game scoring, which can be huge. And you're trying to manipulate that a bit or adapt to what you see in the center, which gives me a lot of positive thoughts and feedback about the game. So, what about you?
I agree. It's a very nice spatial puzzle. It has some kind of theme, but as soon as we started, I didn't know it was from the same designer. But as soon as we started talking, and Ilya showed me the box cover and did some setup, I was like, "Oh, that's like photosynthesis."
Mm-hmm.
And if you play photosynthesis, it's a competitive game. You build on the same place. Here you have your own small private forest where you build trees, lakes, bushes, and like big trees, small trees. But I'm not sure about the drafting mechanism. It's kind of cool. It's good. It allows you to. It restricts you where you can place, where you can do
Mm-hmm.
your actions.
Which I like.
But I wonder how it goes with two players because there's a limited amount of cards, limited amount of turns.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know.
eventually,
I don't know.
if you play with two, there's a high chance that the area you're building will not come up at all because we will not go through all the deck.
I
Maybe
think
it
you
has
will. I think you will.
maybe it has less. Yeah, maybe it has less cards.
Oh no, I mean like I think you go through the deck because we went through the deck several times as a full play game, which means that you get through the deck at least once.
Well,
I'm
it's
sure
still
about
good.
that.
It allows you to focus not on. You can focus on end game scoring. You can focus on the
Mm-hmm.
mid round scoring and sun
Yes.
mechanism. It's so like positive. Let's put it like
Yeah, it's satisfyingly positive because
mhm.
between the good and the bad, as you said, the photosynthesis has a little that take that and blocking each other. Here you have your own board, so each player has their own board. So you kind of you're drafting, you're interacting in a sense, and then you're going into your solitaire multiplayer mode where you're building up your own kind of a planets and trees and stuff, which feels satisfying. So probably it's for those. This game is good for those who didn't like the in your face mechanism of photosynthesis, probably. But let's get to the bad. So transition to the bad. So first of all, this is a spatial puzzle. This is abstract. If you're not good at spatial puzzles, this is not good for you. Like I don't really like spatial puzzles. It worked for me. Hallelujah. Uh, but you know, it's also simple. The drafting and the cards they don't give you much. It's all the same. You get the same thing. You still feel like you're growing in a sense, but you are mostly doing the same thing. And at some point, you can lose the theme in your head and start just thinking about the puzzle. You lose the theme really quickly. I think in this game, but this I cannot find much bad about this game. So yeah, what about you?
Well, the the visual aspect of it, the different size of I don't know, trees. It gives you it brings you back in from a spatial puzzle into a forest. So if you look at it, you actually feel it as a forest. It's not bad. I'm just trying to counter your small argument.
Hmm.
Regarding
Hmm.
bad, not much. I wonder. I want to try it with two players, and then I could give a verdict. Right now,
Maybe the
it
scoring is a little bit like this. The scoring of the different trees is a bit clumsy. Like you have to go through all of the trees. Oh, this is blocked. This is not blocked. You can
that's
probably make a mistake.
that's how spatial puzzles work, Ilya.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, like here, you can because the big trees, they block two spaces ahead of them, and the small one space. You can, and the ones that are blocked block the other ones,
Yeah,
nonetheless. And all of that thing. So it's it's a very high chance somebody will make a mistake.
but we're
There's
talking
big,
about 2 points, 3 points. We're not
maybe something
talking
like that. Yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, because I think uh, the biggest scoring comes from the end game
Forests,
scoring. Yeah,
endgame and forests. I think if you build up your forest, you get a ton of points. I think so.
because I'm looking at the points we played. It was,
Yeah,
let's put what, 170, 160, and 150. So
not a huge difference.
yeah, maybe somebody missed the tree somewhere there, here and there, and that's it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next game. The next game is called Lockup, and this is a role player tale. Basically, it's in a role player universe, but I mean, some of the pictures are the same, but it's a different game. So in this one, you are prisoners, just going around doing your prisoner stuff, and you have the different workers basically, which are different strength. And I would hesitate. I'm a little bit hesitant to call it a worker placement game. It's worker placement in a sense, but it's more of an area majority game. So whoever has the most strength in a spot, they get to get the most benefit, and the other ones, if there's a second or a third place or last place, whatever, there's different things going on. You can get some extra resources, then you can get the cards for set collection. You can get the library cards, which are like special abilities, etc. And you are trying to get the most points by getting those set collection cards and building the items and getting the resources, trying to get the majority in the right places. Yeah, so let's get to the good. So yeah, yeah. You
I can
probably see
start.
my
Don't worry.
yeah. You can start. You can see my
I can,
rating. You can start.
I can start. The good thing is that it's a very nice area majority bluffing game in a way, because you can, when you place your different workers, you can put some of them face down and trying to figure out how it works, how many, who has the majority in which place, and that's a very nice touch. It
Mm-hmm.
has
Mm-hmm.
it has a worker placement, it has some bluffing, it has set collection, so all that sounds very nice together.
Yeah,
I
I
wonder.
agree on that worker kind of a majority. I would say I would rather say it's area majority, but whatever. Worker place area
Mhm.
majority. I agree on that stuff.
So yeah, it
That's it from me.
and and if you're familiar with the art, it's for role player, it's exactly the same. So your take, if you like it or not. I find it fine. The
It
set
was okay.
collection, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like nothing special. It's the same. We've seen it. It's not a new
I
art.
think
So
the art on the item cards was better than the art on the tokens that you use
yeah.
and the map. I think the items were beautiful. Everything else was like okay. It was like two different artists, kind of a
Hmm.
little bit of that feel.
Yeah, the items looked very different and between each other, and the board looked, the style of maybe the color choice. It felt like from very long ago, from the old games.
Yeah, a
I don't
little
know.
bit flat in a sense in a
Yeah,
colors palette. Yeah, yeah, not so shiny. So
and yeah, it has a lot of things which sound good together, which work somehow together. But if we compare it to Godspeed, where there's a lot of mechanism and they actually work, here it feels like it's
yeah,
missing something, but it has a twist, and I think Ilya can tell
yeah.
about that.
So let's get to the bad, yeah, because I want to really get to it. So as I said, so the good part is this area majority. You put some of these your discs or whatever tokens face down, totally fine. I like that part. As we get past that part, which is maybe 1/3 of the game, or let's say a little bit more, um, then it becomes just a boring fest. I mean, set collection. Oh, you're just collecting those cards, and now you get this symbol, and if you get enough of those symbols you get 5 points, and then you use your cubes, and the green cube and the blue cube and the whatever yellow cube, they give you this item. And what these items give you, oh, this item gives you the possibility to get rid of that black cube, which is a bad thing. And it's like cubes, 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 dry, dry, dry. There's like the first part is juicy, the second part is dry as hell. And the library cards, yeah, what I hated, and I overreacted definitely. But so the library cards, they have a lot of cool special abilities, and most of the cards are cool special abilities. There are some cards that are straight take that, and I had 3 players in a row just punching me, not because like they're playing against me in a sense, but it's like they had this opportunity, so they played those cards, and 3 times in a row I got slapped in my face, on my hand. I'm like, can I do this? No, you cannot do this. You can do this feel, and I felt like I was just attacked. It's like, oh, we're doing this Euro game, we're doing this area majority, and then eventually, like, you lose stuff out of nowhere. Like, why? Why did you put those cards into the library deck? It's because most of the game is about this kind of a passive aggressive interaction. I'm gonna take away the spot from you because I have more strength and I have some of that hidden. This is great, but straight up, you lose, kind of a thing. Why? Why do the Munchkin? Why put the Munchkin inside this Euro game? I don't know. Really bad.
Well, it's just something you don't expect. We started playing the game having no idea what cards are there. Nobody knew. Nobody knew it take that element. And I would totally agree with you that it's not something you expect. You expect a game of worker placement, of cube trading.
Pushing. Yeah.
Push, yeah, yeah. It's not bad to push cubes, Ilya.
I mean, it's just yet another one. It's like it's the same as thousands of other ones. It's like the second part of the game is it just get the cubes, exchange the cubes, and the outcome that you get from the items, it's not satisfying. It's just you spend the cubes to get rid of one bad cube, whatever. It's like it's not satisfying for me.
Yeah, it felt flat, not flat, dull maybe in a way. Although it works together, it doesn't provide a lot of satisfaction from doing things. And
Yeah.
and if you're playing first time, of course you don't know, but you think, oh, that there is no set collection. You get just items for points, and
Mm-hmm.
then you find out there's set collection mid game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. All right, let's get to the next game. Otherwise, I'll be really angry at the end of the episode. So the next game is not the Furnace, but Furnace. So the Furnace, really quickly, is an engine building game, literal engine building game. So you have those different cards. They have the upper part of the card and the production part of the card. So at first you're bidding on those cards. You have different tokens from 1 to 4, the different strength of tokens, and whoever gets the most strength from the card gets the card. Everybody else gets the compensation, which is the upper part of the card, which are extra resources. And then you are getting the cards, you're putting them in your line, and then you're activating those cards, exchanging resources into other resources, exchanging them into money. You want to get the most money at the end of the game. It's your very straightforward kind of as I always say, cube pusher and the not the set collection, the cube pusher and kind of a production line kind of a feel with rather cool bidding. So let's get to the good stuff right away. I really like the bidding. I like the bidding mechanism where you have those tokens from 1 to 4. If somebody puts a 4, they win the card, but they don't get compensated on the upper part of the card. They have to activate it during their production. And if you put a 3 there, you can activate the upper part of the card, getting the one-time resources or exchange probability thing, but you get it as many times as the number on your token, which is like, if there are 2 coal, you get 2 times 3, you get 6 coal in one go, which is a lot of resources. So you're trying to manipulate all of that. There is a rule, so you cannot, have the same color on the same card or the same number on the same card, etc. But there are those which I really like. The special abilities of the different people. Did you have the special, what they are? The special
Powers.
abilities,
Yeah.
basically, that each player gets. They break the rules. So basically, they are rule-breaking special abilities. And one of them feels like it's breaking the game, but then the other one feels like it's breaking the game. All of them are really powerful in a sense, and yeah, the best part is it's smooth. There's not many rules. It's very clean. The production you do. One thing I like to play the variant where you, as you stick the cards into your production line, you cannot change the order and you have to activate them from left to right. I like this much better than the initial kind of a base game where you can activate any card in any position in any order, which gives a lot of 3 roam, but has a ton of analysis paralysis and just clogs the game and slows the game until it's not as positive or as fun. Yeah.
Well, it does. First of all, it's all maybe you didn't know what you noted mentioned. It looks great. It
Yeah,
has
true.
this. It has this. I don't know, maybe
Postmodernism.
industrial, yeah, like
Post-industrial. Okay.
industrial or some Soviet theme in it in a way. This.
Washed colors, washed out color,
Yeah,
like paintings, kind of a thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
it looks great. The bidding is fine because it's a very different twist with different actions, like Ilya said, with different values with different power of workers. Sorry, and uh, but it's. I played it twice now, and it still doesn't click in my head. I don't understand how to optimize because every turn you
Mm-hmm.
do, because you get only four bids, let's say
Mm-hmm.
four productions, and you have to have a very well optimized system because you're doing your cards from left to right. You have to know exactly which way you're going.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing because if you have no idea where to get points from, do you want to get them from what were they, the upgrade tokens, or do you want to
Oh,
get
shit,
points
okay.
from oil, or do you want to get points from coal? There's some limited options. You have to stride towards one specific goal, I guess.
Yeah. So
It's not that, oh, I will get this card because it gives me an option to do that. No, that doesn't work. You have to know you're getting a card because you know exactly how to get to that
yeah.
to that card.
So the bad stuff, maybe probably you agree, if you don't build up your engine well, you're not like out of the game, but you feel really unsatisfied. It's not fun. It's not working. So you have to be careful about building up your engine. You have to be smart about that. And if you make few mistakes about those, it feels really unsatisfying. So I think that's my negative about the game. But there's not much negative about the game because it's so simple. It's a game for the right mood. And I don't know. It's okay. One of the bad things is that I want more cards. I want more abilities. I want more stuff. So it's just a bit too simple at some point. So I don't want to play it all the time. I want more meat on the bone. And as of now, there will be an expansion coming next year. But as of now, it lacks a bit more depth or possibility of depth. So if I play with new players, I can show them the base game. But then if I want to play a meteor game, I can throw in some extra stuff and have this kind of a more difficult game. I'm just feeling like I'm missing that a lot.
But it's not a game that you would show to uh, beginner gamers
Mm,
because
maybe I don't know.
well, just for example, I remember when we were playing. For example, I on my turn I got like say 10 points. Uh, our opponent got 24 points, and he could like double his output and get 48 points in a row. No, not 48, whatever.
It just
So
happens. I mean,
yeah,
because
and if you play it with beginners and they see this difference,
you teach them.
it's very pushing off.
Yeah, but still, you guide them. But with the beginning players, you guide them, you teach them. There's I think the suggestion that you exclude the special powers, etc. So you definitely play without the special powers. You just play this basic kind of thing, like building up your line production. But because it's so obvious, it's just the arrow shows that if I give you
Yeah.
2 oil, it gives me 4 money. You know, it's like that's so obvious. Like I think it's fine with the beginners. It's just you need to guide them through so they don't make too many mistakes. You just can suggest them while you play it. That's the only yeah. All right, so this is Furnace. Let's get to the last game, which is Similo. It was just we play basically we usually play 10 games, but it was the 11th extra game that I insisted on playing for 3 days. And Similo is all about if you play maybe, probably Mysterium etc. But it's all about one of the players is the giving hints with the cards, and the other players are trying to guess the right card. But trying to guess the right card by not just pointing at the right card, but eliminating all the other cards which are wrong cards. You have 12 cards in front of you, and these are all character based. They can be characters from fables, from myths, animals. They can be, I have all the Harry Potter themed deck of Similo, etc. There are all the sorts of different decks, and we played the myths deck, the ancient, mythologies and things. So let's get to the good side. The good side, I like how it looks. It's simple. It's cheap. I like the art. It's cartoony. It's easy to get into it. This is the game to play with beginners, moms, grandparents, whatever. It's like it's so simple in a sense that if you take the deck, which is like a common theme, like animals, whatever, it's easy to get into for anybody, for children and parents, etc. So it's the game for the whole families. It's like the timeline type of a stuff. Yeah. What do
Well,
you think?
agree. The art, I agree. The art is very good. It's very simple. As it's very, let's put that, the price effective,
Mm-hmm.
and it fits in your pocket. Let's put it that way. And
Kind of,
it's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I like one thing I like is as well is the mechanism where you can hint on what something is or what something is not. So you can hint on both sides. It's not like just you giving the card and then, oh, did they try to hint on this color, whatever. If you put it the other way, it's like, oh, they want to say that it is not similar to this thing. It is not, so it doesn't have long hair or doesn't have a beard, whatever. It creates the extra layer of thinking. I
It's
like that.
also a very nice touch that on the side of the card there's a small text about it. For
Us
example, yeah,
teaching
so
tool.
like yeah, so you know who Hades is, or who Achilles, or Medusa, or Zeus. So there's like, or Harry Potter for that matter. What we played. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a small text, one sentence, and it gives you some idea of what's on the picture. So if you don't know, you can either hint based on that. You can hint based on pictures. You can hint on based on basic knowledge, or just some things which look the same.
All right. And the bad stuff for me is it's kind of a limited. It depends on the pack. If it's a themed pack, like for Anders, for example, it doesn't care about Harry Potter that much. And it can be there can be this kind of insight information kind of thing, like if we play the Harry Potter, oh, I know she married that person, or I know that they were there together, and do you remember that scene from the movie? It creates this kind of a meta game within the game, You can play it as you don't know the characters as well. It works, but with some of the themed decks and with some of the myths, etc. If you don't know all the characters, you can learn about them, but it's difficult. So, but the good part is that you can then learn about them. But yeah, it can be a downside.
It actually, yeah,
Themes.
it indeed is because it was exactly when we were playing with my wife and Ilya the Harry Potter deck. I think maybe I was hinting that the colors on the cards match, and Ilya and my wife were like, "Oh, but yeah, those people went to the same class." I'm like,
But
"Okay,
yeah,
really?"
we're overthinking it because we knew the theme too much. Yeah, we were all thinking, oh, like, oh, he's hinting because they were together. Oh, that's why. It's like I'm just like, no, 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 long hair. I just hinted on the long hair. You know.
But and probably it's a very limited deck. The deck
Yeah.
is what, 30 cards, 32 cards, and each game you put 12 on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So when we played what, Harry Potter 3 times. It was a different group, and it felt the same. It felt like you're giving the same hints. Of course, you're trying to not accidentally hint on the wrong cards, but still, for me it feels like the hints will be the same roughly every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. That's why you
So
play it
in
occasionally. Yeah.
still, so in 3 or 4 games, you will be through the deck. You will have all the associations. You put it away on the shelf. You take it back out of the shelf. You take it back from the shelf in 10 months. Play two 15 minutes games, and you put it back on the shelf.
Yes. Well, that's how it works, and you have some different decks. It's like with the timeline. Sometimes you just pull it out to play quickly. All right, let's get away from the screen sharing and let's get to the final of the show. So it's a long episode. The other episodes of Quick Dive will be just 3 games and very quick analyze of the game. The Quick Dive doesn't mean exactly that we are just going to have 5 minute episodes. The Quick Dive means that we go through the game quickly. We're not giving any overviews, but just giving our quick thoughts about what's good, what's bad about the games. But let's get to the last 3 things. Biggest surprise. So out of all of these 11 games that we talk about, so my biggest surprise is I think Spacebase, and that's because um, I, I was expecting Machikoro. I was expecting not to like it at all, and then I liked it. It had some good stuff that kind of fixed Machikoro for me in a sense, but not Machikoro itself, but it was like a better version of Machikoro, which is great. What's your biggest surprise?
I would say probably Planet Defenders. It's
Mm.
an odd choice, but because it's like chess. It's
It will
fast.
be my follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was somewhere there
Yeah.
because
Surprise.
surprised because it's good. It's actually good.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. I think Planet Defenders also was surprise for kind of everyone that it works. It's simple. It's good. So
Yeah,
what's the worst
that's
game?
that's a very good point. What you said, it works. There is no extra layer of mechanism. It's not overcrowded with any overthinking. It's not
hmm hmm
overburdened with any extra layers. It's just plain simple.
So the worst game. For me, the worst game. You probably know Lockup. It's like the Lockup. The first, like I said, one of the first of the game is great, and the rest is boring, and the take that cards is abysmal. It's garbage. It's a trash. You need to throw those cards away from this library deck, whatever. So that's my pick.
Yeah, probably Lockup would be my follow up. But I would go for oh my goodness, I lost it. Steampunk
Mm.
Rally Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very
I can
dice
see that.
based. Because it's
I can
very
see that.
dice
Yeah.
based, and when you're on your turn, you cannot use the dice which you rolled because it's just luck. That's a thing which doesn't go. It's just not the way game design should work. It's
It's not
like
the way
it's like
the cookie
Machikoro, Ilya.
crumbles. Yeah,
It's like much. It's like Machikoro.
no. It's not different.
You roll a dice and you hope it
Yeah,
works.
but you have a lot of control there.
No,
Still,
no, you
you have.
don't.
All right. Agree to disagree. Okay. And what's the best game? I think we both say in synchrony.
Yeah,
Evergreen. Evergreen.
absolutely.
I think we both liked Evergreen the most out of all of these.
Yeah, same reason as like space. It's not overburdened. Maybe a bit.
Uh,
It's quite smooth. It's beautiful. It has amazing
yeah,
theme. So
it
Evergreen.
worked from the start. I was hooked from the start till the end. I wanted to get the bigger scores. Like nothing was in the way of me enjoying the game. That's I think the best game.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's it for today's episode, and we'll see how we go into other episodes. As I said, it will be much shorter in this case, but thank you thank you everyone for watching, and thank you to Andres for joining
Thank
me
you.
and giving his thoughts on those wonderful and maybe not so wonderful games. Anyway, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.